So it's been about 2.5 years since Tears of the Kingdom came out, and just over 1 year since Echoes of Wisdom. Zelda is probably my favorite franchise, or at least the one that shaped me the most. So I just wanted to talk about what I personally would like to see from the next Zelda game. I'm not saying that this is what should be done, or anything like that, and you don't even have to agree with me. This is just my own personal take on what I think the next Zelda game should look like. I didn't really script this, I just wrote down like a list of things, so most of this is gonna just be off the top of my head. But the first thing I want to talk about is a different world from Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, and not a repeat of a previous world like Echoes of Wisdom. I mean, Jesus. How many times do we need to see the exact same Hyrule that was in A Link to the Past, you know what I mean? Like, just give me a new area. You know, give me somewhere that isn't even a Hyrule for all I care. Especially if you're gonna do a game that's a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom, and it has the same engine and everything. If I have to see that exact same Hyrule for a third time, I think I'm gonna lose it. But if you are gonna reuse that engine and make it a sequel, put it in a new area. You know, bring back, a different villain from Ganon, maybe Vati. I would love to see Vati again, to be honest. But you could do it Echoes of Wisdom did and have a completely different final boss as well. But personally, I'd love to see Vati come back in some way, because the only game I ever played that had him in it was Minish Cap, and I really liked him. But other than that, something I would love to see again is the return of linear style dungeons. Kind of like the ones that were in Echoes of Wisdom. I really liked the Echoes of Wisdom dungeons, although there was some, you could do some things in a open-ended, free-form way, whatever you want to say, because of the Echo system. I just Tears of the Kingdom, like, it just went too far. You could just break these dungeons into two pieces. Like, you're just flying around the fire temple at this point. You're not solving any of the puzzles. Come on. And one of the things that I love about Zelda games, something that really drew me into them growing up, was the puzzles in dungeons. It felt good to solve a puzzle. But in Tears of the Kingdom, it was just so easy to not do the puzzles that why would you bother doing the puzzles when you can just not do them? I mean, you can intentionally not use all your tools in order to do the do the puzzles the way they're intended, but I don't know, were there even intended ways for the puzzles? Because one of the things about Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild was that freedom that they love so much. But I'm all for the freedom in like the open world when you're exploring and stuff like that. I think that's fine. I think that's fun, to just do whatever the hell you want out in the open world. But when you're in a dungeon, I just want it to be, here's a puzzle, you have to solve it the intended way, figure it out, or fuck off. You know what I mean? I don't know. I mean, it was fine for Breath of the Wild, because like that was the whole point of the game, but then they just did it again in Tears of the Kingdom. I'm like, I kind of miss, just classic linear dungeons where you have to solve puzzles. And when I say linear, I don't mean like literally like a hallway. I just mean you have to complete these steps before you can, go fight the final boss of the dungeon, Like there can be like different like branches that you go down depending on whatever you're feeling, but you know what I mean? But I just want to be able to be challenged by the puzzles, even if they're not that hard. Like, it's still a Nintendo game. They don't have to be hard. I just don't want to be able to break the game into pieces. Like, I think, I like that the dungeons in Tears of the Kingdom were a little bit more classic compared to Breath of the Wild, but at the same time, they just didn't feel like the old dungeons. You know what I think would have been cool, and I've said this before, but what I think would have been cool in Tears of the Kingdom was if every dungeon was themed around one of Link's powers, like Ascend, or whatever the fuck they were called, Ultra Hand, the one that reverses time, and then you just lock all the other ones, and then get rid of the Zonai devices and whatever the ability was that let you summon Zonai devices. What was it called? Auto build. Like, if there was a dungeon that was completely themed around Ultra Hand, and then one completely themed around Fuse, and you had to fuse different items together in the dungeon to solve puzzles, and then one that was completely dependent on Ascend, and then one that's completely dependent on Recall, and then one final dungeon that, combines all four of them, or something like that. I think that would have been cool. And then just lock the other abilities in the dungeon that, isn't themed around that ability, and make sure auto build isn't available in any of them. I mean, auto build isn't available in any of the shrines. Why is it available available in the dungeons. I just never really got that. My next thing that I want to see is if you're gonna have a strong emphasis on the story, like they seemed like they wanted to do with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, you know, lean into the story, make it really, you know, complex. You know, make Link not some emotionless husk. Like, that was one of my biggest complaints with Tears of the Kingdom, was Link was just emotionless during every story cutscene in the game. People are just talking to him, and he's just sitting there with the same blank expression. Like, if you want your hero to be some, you know, unfazed by anything kind of guy, whatever. That's not really what I want, though. I want, you know, Link to show some damn human emotion like Toon Link did back on the damn GameCube. He's sad when he's leaving his home. He's happy when he sees his sister. He gets angry. You know, he's expressive. And I think that's why so many people like Toon Link, is because he's so expressive, you know, compared to like the other Links who are just, I don't know, so boring. It's just so boring, you know? But if, you know, if you're not gonna do that with the story, then just don't even bother having a strong story, having a strong focus on the story. Just make the gameplay as good as it can be if you're not gonna go super hard on the story. Like, like one or the other. Don't like half-ass the story and waste my damn time with it, you know? Like, why at the end of every Tears of the Kingdom dungeon do I see the same cutscene told by a different character with the same lines of dialogue about the damn imprisoning war, and then I get a jump scare at the Nintendo Direct? Age of Imprisonment, Hyrule Warriors coming soon. The imprisoning war. Yeah, that's just what I wanted, to fight during the fucking imprisoning war. Anyway. The next thing I really want is a lot of Princess Zelda. I think that Echoes of Wisdom shows that a lot of people like the idea of being able to play as Princess Zelda. They like the idea of Zelda being a heavy focus in a Zelda game. You know, I think that, like, one of the things about Spirit Tracks, say what you want about, you know, the gameplay, say what you want about the train stuff, whatever. One of the greatest things about Spirit Tracks was Zelda was, you know, a main character that was with Link throughout the entire freaking story. All of it. She was there the whole time, and it was really, really awesome. Zelda was the best she's ever been in that game, and I don't think that's really a hot take either. I think anyone who's played Spirit Tracks and enjoyed it could attest to that. I mean, Zelda was good in Wind Waker when she was Tetra, and she had a personality, but then when she became Zelda, when you got to the Master Sword area, she just kind of became boring. So lots of Princess Zelda is what I would want to see from the next Zelda game, and I would want her to have a personality that would be just peachy. And, you know, that's fine, but if I went even further, what I would really want from Zelda is for her to be playable alongside Link, in some fashion. Like, I don't know, maybe like, I don't know, they split off to go to different dungeons, and like you do like a POV swap after you beat one dungeon to the other character. Like, I don't know, like Grand Theft Auto 5? Like, what other games do this that I can think of? I don't know. But you know what I mean? Like, you go to, like, you go to the Fire Temple, whatever, as Link, and you run around with the red tunic, and then you beat the Fire Temple, and then you get a cutscene, and then like the screen fades to black, and it's like a few hours later or whatever, and it shows Zelda, you know, walking up to like the Zora area, and then you go to the Water Temple as Zelda or whatever, and she gets like a mermaid outfit and swims around, whatever, I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. Something like that. And then you just do the dungeon as Zelda. I think that would be awesome. And then like at the end, they're like, you know, the last dungeon, they're running around together, and you can click a button to swap between them and do their different gameplay. Like, you know, like freaking the Final Fantasy VII Remake or something. I don't know. I'm just spitballing here. I'm not making the game. I'm just saying I'd love to see Zelda in the game a lot. That's all I'd like. That's all I would want to say. I want Link to have emotion, and I want Zelda to be a big part of the story. At like the end of Breath of the Wild, Link and Zelda are going off to do stuff, and you know, you think, oh, in Tears of the Kingdom, I bet Zelda's gonna be really important, and then she just fucks off after the prologue for like the entire game. It's like, oh, she's flying around as a dragon. Isn't that cool? She doesn't do anything though. Anyway, speaking of characters, I'd love, you know, Something that I just want to see. This is just something in general. This isn't really anything super specific or anything that I really have a complaint about. I would just like to see, you know, more memorable characters. Like, we got some memorable characters from the most recent games. You know, we got Tulin, we got Sidon, we got Riju, Urbosa, Daruk, you know, that bird guy, what was his name? Rivali. We got Rivali. What's her name? Mifa? Who cares? Who cares about Mifa? Come on now. Come on now, guys. It's overrated. That's what I think. So I would just like to see more of that. You know, I think they do a good job making memorable characters. You know, I'd love to see Beetle again, of course. That's what I would like to see. I'd also like some kind of different, like, tone. Like, one of the things I like about Majora's Mask is its dark, you know, kind of creepy tone. I'd like them to lean into something like that. Maybe it doesn't have to be dark and creepy like Majora's Mask, but some kind of unique tone. Like, I don't know, aliens. Where's, like, they were gonna have aliens in Breath of the Wild. I think it's time for the aliens. Do something freaky. That's all I want. Is just something freaky, something that makes me go whoa. I don't know. I'm just spitballing. Something I would like to not see is more shrines. That's for sure. I don't mind, you know, little puzzles and challenges out in the world or whatever, but I do not want 200 shrines that half of them are just fight one enemy. I don't want nothing like that again. Please, for the love of God, no more shrines. Just no more shrines, man. I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them. Give me heart pieces the normal way from side quests and finding them in a freaking box somewhere. Just randomly find one in a box. I don't want to see 500 shrines, you know, complete 4 shrines to get 1 heart or 1 extra second of stamina. And no, please, no. I mean, you can keep the 5,000 Koroks if you want. I'm just not gonna do them. Just don't make anything worthwhile from the Koroks, okay? That's all I'm saying, you know? Just keep it to something like, 1 more inventory slot, whatever, and I'll get the Koroks that I run across. You know, you can keep you know, the collection content for the psychos if you want, but I ain't gonna be collecting no Koroks, I'll tell you that much. But don't add the shrines, please. I don't want them again. Because I feel like I have to do them to get hearts and stamina, and I just don't want to do it. In fact, just get rid of the stamina bar as well in the next game, especially if it's a sequel to Tears of the Kingdom. Just get rid of it. Just give me full stamina from the start. I don't care. I don't want to upgrade my stamina. Speaking of side quests, I love to see a return to interesting side quests. One of the great things about Majora's Mask, as I'll say every time it comes up, is that it has amazing side quests. Side quests that fill you with emotion. Like, damn, those side quests are damn good. They really root you into the tone and the atmosphere of the world around you. And, you know, they're not too difficult to do either, so that's good. They're interesting. They are interesting. I would like something like that, not, you know, like in Tears of the Kingdom, where I go to a village on the water that I remember from Breath of the Wild, and I go there and it's infested with moblins and goblins and whatever you have you. Bokoblins, whatever. That's what they're called, not goblins. Bokoblins, and you wipe them all out, and then people return back to the town, and then some guy says, "Help rebuild the town, Link. Will you do that?" And you say, "Okay." And he says, "All right, I need you to bring me 30 pieces of wood." What am I playing, an MMO from 2002? What do you mean, bring you 30 pieces of wood, man? Fuck off, go do it yourself. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, don't give me a side quest like that ever again in a single player game in this day and age, for the love of God, you know what I mean? Like, that's just so boring. Like, what were they thinking? Oh, but you can, you know, use Ultra Hand to glue 30 pieces of wood together, and it's really funny. I'll bring in all the wood to him. Whatever. Shut up. I'm not gonna do it. Nope. But speaking of making the dungeons better, one thing I'd love to see from the dungeons is a super unique aesthetic, never before seen in a Zelda game. Like, you know, I mentioned the Fire Temple and Water Temple, but we don't have to have them. We can do something freaky, you know, like, I don't know, the Mist Temple, and it's like a giant Silent Hill like dungeon, and there's like jump scares. Now that I say that, I think I'm cooking with that one. The Mist Temple. I think we gotta have the Mist Temple in the next game. Make it scary. It's scary. I just, like, you know, like have the have the hands, you know, the hands, what are they called? Wall masters and floor masters. Have them just like walking around in the fog. Ooh, that would be, that make them look fucking freaky. Like a mouth on the palm or something. Come on, that you know that would be good. You know that would be good. You know that would be awesome. All right, so that's what I would like to see. Some unique dungeons with some sort of unique aesthetic. I know Nintendo can do it. They are creative geniuses. Even if recent times have shown them to also be extremely greedy and quite full of themselves, to be honest. Like, what's with the patents? What's with the revealing Pokemon ZA DLC before the game even comes out? And is paid DLC too? Like, if you were gonna show DLC before the game came out, that's fine, but like if it was free, like, oh, and look forward to this free update that will come a month later after the game releases, where you have the Pokemon, Pikachu, Raichu, whatever, Mega Raichu. But instead it's like, oh, it's paid DLC. That's cool. Thanks a lot, Nintendo. I didn't know you were that greedy. Well, I did, since none of your games ever drop in price. Like, you know, people have been talking about, oh, they gotta release those Wind Waker and Twilight Princess HD from the Wii U. They gotta put that on Switch. And, you know, oh, well, they didn't put it on Switch. Maybe they'll put it on Switch too. I don't want it. Fuck it. I don't fucking want it. I don't want to pay probably $70 if, like, and that's kind of, it might be $80 for all I know. $80, $80 for a bundle of Wind Waker and Twilight Princess, two games I already own on GameCube and Wii U. Actually, I don't own Twilight Princess HD, but I do own Wind Waker HD. Like, no, fuck off, Nintendo. I just know it would be way overpriced because Galaxy was overpriced, you know? Like, I just know it's gonna be like $80 for the bundle, $50 if you want to get them individually. And it's like, what? This game is older than half of the people on the planet. You know what I mean? Like, no thanks. No thanks on that one. But anyway, that was a bit of a tangent there. But yeah, unique dungeons with a unique aesthetic, I think that would be awesome. And also awesome boss fights. I would love to see awesome boss fights. I think the boss fights in Echoes of Wisdom were great. They were really fun. Tears of the Kingdom, the Queen Gibdo was cool, I think. The Wind Temple guy was cool. I liked him. But Goma, pretty boring. And the guy from the Water Temple was dog shit. The robot fight was cool, though, in the Spirit Temple, which wasn't really much of a dungeon, to be honest, but whatever. But yeah, I would love to see some more awesome boss fights. This isn't something that's never been in a Zelda game. I'm just saying that I would like to see more awesome boss fights. Something crazy. Just something fucking crazy. You know? Like, give me a fight against a dragon in space and Link is flying around like a spaceship. You know, like Ifrit versus Bahamut in Final Fantasy 16. Give me something like that. That would be pretty sick. And then, like, the last couple things I want to talk about are little things that don't really matter, but personally, I'd love to see them. I'd love to see costumes in the game. Again, they've had costumes in the last few games, and I'd love to see more costumes. I think that playing dress up with your characters is always kind of fun. Seeing your favorite characters in new outfits, that's cool. One of the things I like about Ocarina of Time when I was a kid was that you could change the color of your tunic. I thought that was awesome. Also, one of the costumes needs to be a cross-dressing outfit. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's a cheerleader outfit. I don't care if it's a, bikini. Oh, Lincoln bikini. Oh, baby. Bring back the Gerudo outfit, whatever. Well, like, I can't believe the Gerudo outfit wasn't in Tears of the Kingdom. That shit pissed me off more than it should have, to be honest. I mean, he had that frosty looking outfit that made him look kind of hot, but nothing like the Gerudo outfit. That was a real shame. Anyway, and if we're gonna have a playable Zelda, like I really want, then give her a cross-dressing outfit too. Give her like a, I don't know, suit and tie. Give her something like that. I don't know. I'm sure you could give Zelda a lot of outfits that would look pretty cool of any kind. And then the last thing, and this is like such a who cares, but for me personally, I would love to see Link become left-handed again. I'm sick of seeing Link be right-handed. One of the things that I really liked about Link, one of the reasons that I grew so attached to the Zelda series was because Link was left-handed and I'm left-handed. And as a kid, you know, just because you never really saw it when you were a kid, you know, you never really saw someone in like a cartoon or a TV show or a movie, never really saw them being left-handed. And so I was always looking when I would watch, you know, a movie or something, I'd always look for someone who was left-handed. And so one of the reasons that I really like Link is because he was left-handed like me. And I think it's really important for people to see people like them in general. And so seeing someone who was like me was pretty cool. So that's why I grew attached to Link when I was a kid. And so I would just like to see Link be left-handed again, honestly. You know, I get why they did it in like Twilight Princess on the Wii, it's because they mirrored everything. But like after that, like why did we change Link from being like, I understand why it was in Skyward Sword because most people are right-handed, which is one of the reasons I never played Skyward Sword, which you know, pissed me off, was that I'm left-handed. What the hell? Why is there no left-handed mode? I mean, it would be kind of awkward to control Skyward Sword using the nunchuck in my right hand, because, you know, and walking around with my right hand, because I don't do that with any controller. I don't know. Well, that's one of the reasons I never played Skyward Sword for so long, is I could just never really get into it anyway, because I didn't really like the controls anyway, regardless of whether I was left-handed or not. But yeah, I would just like to see Link be left-handed again, which is something that doesn't really matter, but I just like, why did they stop doing it? I just don't really get it. When Skyward Sword, I get it. Twilight Princess HD, I got it. But after that, why is Link now right-handed? That's one of the things that made him unique, was that he was left-handed, and now he's just like everybody else, so just a righty. The only left-handed person left in this world is Sephiroth, and that's just sad. Anyway, that's just some of the things that I want to see from the next Zelda game. If you have anything that you want to see from the next Zelda game, leave it in the comments below. I would love to know what everyone wants to see from the next Zelda game. I don't know when it'll be announced. Maybe at the Game Awards, probably not. I really doubt it. Probably not going to see it until a Nintendo Direct sometime next year, at best. But who knows, you know? Maybe there'll be a December Nintendo Direct. But until then, you know, I will await news of the next Zelda game, and whenever it does get revealed, I will watch the trailer and analyze it like I did with Echoes of Wisdom, whatever. Maybe if I can ever manage to wake up in the morning, I can do a live reaction to the Nintendo Direct, whenever the next one is. Probably not. That probably will not happen, but who knows? Either way, next Zelda game, can't wait to see it, I guess. I just hope it's not Tears of the Kingdom 2, aka Breath of the Wild 3, set in the same Hyrule, but this time, you can go into the ocean. Actually, that would be kind of cool. Like, ooh, you can go across the ocean and there's another continent. So it's the entire world from Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, plus another continent. Maybe that would be too ambitious. Just give me a different damn world, you know what I mean? A new Hyrule, or a new country, or whatever you want to say. Just give me something that just give me a world I ain't seen before, okay? That's all I'm saying. Anyway, thank you for watching. Leave your ideas for what you want to see from the next Zelda game in the comments below. I'd love to see it. As I said, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.